Starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone. Welcome to our webinar on customer service then and now. My name is Beth Rugg from Ithaca College in New York. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for SIGUX and will be helping to facilitate this event. Ashley Weiss is the presenter. Ashley has been with IT Services at Iowa State University for 7 years. Her responsibilities at ISU include managing 47 students who make up the Student Technical Support Help Desk, administering the campus-wide incident tracking system, ITS marketing, and helping new Iowa State students and staff become acclimated with the technology offered at the university. Before we jump into the webinar, let's just go over a few rules of the road. By default, everyone is muted. When you have a question or comment, please use the chat feature and send a chat message or question into the organizer, that's me, and then I'll let Ashley know that you have a question. So can everyone just go ahead and use the chat feature and say hello to me so that I know you're comfortable and familiar with it? Oh, perfect. This is always reassuring because then I know the system's actually working. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. I do want to let you know that we are recording this session and it should be available on the SIGUX website in a few days. So with that, I'm going to turn over the discussion to Ashley. Welcome, Ashley.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you everyone for attending this webinar. I did present this in Chicago at the last conference. We had a really great discussion, so I'm hoping to do the same thing today. We've got lots of questions and polls for people to go ahead and respond to kind of make it more interactive than other webinars that I've presented. So we'll go ahead and get started. You'll see on the main slide here that myself and Dana actually wrote the paper. Dana's from the University of Northern Iowa, and we've got a wonderful picture of him so you all can put a name with a face. He works for the University of Northern Iowa. He is basically their manager of their help desk. He is an avid swimmer. Some of you might remember him from Memphis. He was the person always going to the YMCA down the road to go swimming. He's also been a longtime coach. And that's him with his horse. And he's here in the audience today, so we'll try and be nice. Just to give a little bit of background on each of our universities, Iowa State has 33,000 students currently. It's one of our biggest enrollments ever. We also have 6,000 faculty and staff. And we just had an article written about our university saying how lean we were. So there's good points to that and bad. We'll see if our numbers go up. Our Solution Center is staffed with 9 full-time employees and 50 students. We have 2 help desks, basically. We are combined into one area, but we have 2 separate lines. We have full-time support for faculty and staff, and then we have student support that's also assisting other students, emeritus, affiliates of the university, things like that. So that's the side that I work on and manage. Altogether, ITS employs about 130 students, so we are pretty student heavy. The University of Northern Iowa has 13,000 students, 2,800 faculty and staff. And then Dana helps manage the computer labs. They employ about 60 students, and his group has 9 to 11 student employees during the semester. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the customer service way back when, so the yesteryears. We're just going to start off with a poll. So what methods of customer support do you remember?
Go ahead, everyone. I think you should hopefully be able to see the poll and respond. We've got about 71% that have voted so far. All right, we're at 80%, so I'll just go ahead and share that.
All right.
87% still coming in. All right, I'm going to close the poll and then share the poll. There you go, Ashley. Can you see the responses?
I can, yep. All right, so, whoops. Apparently I clicked on something that I shouldn't have.
Are you still able to see it, Ashley?
I am, yep.
Okay, great.
So it looks like a lot of people remember phone support, in-person support. Some people remember some other methods. So we'll go ahead and look at the expectations of back then. Basically, people wanted a quality resolution to their problem or question. They didn't care about speed as much as quality. So we talked about the different types of support that people used: telephone, walk-in traffic, postal or campus mail, which up until about 7 years ago, even Iowa State was still using campus mail for some of the administrative requests, intramurals, processing, things like that. So we are somewhat out of date when it comes to that, but we have switched to everything online here in the last couple of years. All right, so we'll talk about customer service as we see it today. And a lot of times people are wondering where the empathy is. You can go out to different places and have, a waiter or waitress serve you, and they get you your drinks and then they leave for about 20 minutes and they don't come back. And it's really one of those questions, where's the empathy at? So we'll talk a little bit about what type of support everybody uses today. So we'll do another poll. What methods of support do you use now?
All right, everyone, I just launched the poll. We've got about 70% of you voting so far. I'll just see if it goes up a little bit higher. Okay, we're right at 78%, so I'll go ahead and close that, Ashley,
All right.
and then share it.
All right. So it looks like a lot of people are using telephone and walk-in, email, and a lot of people are using self-service, which is great. I love that method. Personally, for me, it's what I would choose to use if I was going to look for customer support through any other group, so it's great. There are about half of the people that said that they do live chat, which is definitely something that Iowa State is interested in. We haven't really gotten to that point yet, and some people do use social media as well, so I'm assuming probably Facebook, Twitter, things like that. So we'll go ahead and move on to the different types of support for today and the different expectations. So we have all of those that were listed, including crowdsourcing and remote assistance, and those are all also methods that people use. Is there anybody out there, just a show of hands, that's using, let's say, remote assistance?
See a couple people's hands. Got 3 hands up out of 19, Ashley. 4.
All right. And for those of you who use it, what type of program is it that you're using for remote assistance? Is it like BOMGAR or something like that?
We have people answering. 2 are using BOMGAR. 1 is using LogMeIn, Dameware, LogMeIn, BOMGAR, Zoom,
Great.
Landesk, VNC. So quickly looking, we had about 9 or 10 folks responding, with BOMGAR probably being the leader, VNC, TeamViewer is also on the list now.
All right. That's great. There's a lot of different remote assistants, and a lot of, we'll get into it a little bit later, but a lot of millennials really appreciate the remote assistance. So that's
Ashley,
great.
we do have a
Yeah.
question about crowdsourcing. If you could just define that, please.
Sure. Crowdsourcing, I would use an example of Yahoo Answers. So somebody goes out and asks a question, and then multiple people can respond to it, and somebody can pick the best answer, something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely something that that we have talked about in the past, but there's a lot of people that are a little hesitant to do that. Just we're not sure how some of the answers would go about being answered. So we'll see if that catches on or not. And we already used this. Is the live chat program, is there anybody out there using the live chat that isn't using a remote assistance along with it? And if so, what program is it that you use?
Christine uses ServiceNow. My live chat, Google Chat, Olark, I think those are the responses we have.
All right. It's always nice to find the different programs that people use so you can take back and do a little bit of research. So that's why I'm asking the questions. Hopefully other people can get some use out of that as well. All right, so a lot of questions come about customer service and how you're supposed to train. And even if there is a possibility of teaching customer service. So one of the things that we do in order to train customer service is we actually hire based on customer service instead of technology. So just another poll. How many people hire based on customer service experience versus technology experience?
All right, everyone, I just launched that poll. We've got 75%, 80% voted so far, 85%. Okay, I'll go ahead and close it and share it out.
All right, it looks like customer service experience is what people are hiring based on, so that's great. When I do hiring, I definitely look for customer service. It's easier for people to understand, and especially since we already have a knowledge base and a lot of documentation, it's much easier to teach the technical rather than the customer service. So we try to get a good blend of the customer-oriented and the technical thinker, but sometimes that's not always a possibility. So we hire a lot of MIS students, pre-business, things like that, as opposed to the engineering majors, which are great technically and wonderful, but sometimes they don't always know how to talk to a customer without talking down to them, which is something else that you really have to make sure to train if you do hire the technical thinker. So when you're doing training for customer service, we base our technology on internal technology, so things that we are built in-house, the external, and of course we always have to train on things that are coming on the horizon. So we have a very large wireless project that's getting ready to come up this summer, and right now we have an option on our phone queue specifically for wireless. To discuss, wireless issues, troubleshoot wireless issues, and that way we can also talk to these people about what's on the horizon and what projects are coming up and how we're planning on making things better. So that kind of leads me into subject matter experts. Those people that are on our, we call it the wireless queue, are the subject matter experts for that specific technology, and they are to train others based on the things that they've learned and document everything that they go through in our knowledge base or things like that. We also do train on effective communication. especially live chat, emails, how to build a rapport. We have in-person appointments that are 20-minute one-on-one sessions with a customer. We really have to be able to make small talk, basically. We have to provide empathy. If somebody's computer is broken and it's past the point of no return, we can't fix it. Our students really have to empathize with the customer and make sure that they understand that we understand and that it's, just a not so great situation for everybody. Always have to have a positive attitude. My grandma used to tell me attitude is everything, so I try to live by that every day and try to teach that to the students here. You can really tell even on a phone call when you've got a good attitude and you're talking with positivity. You're avoiding jargon and technical lingo, not talking down to the customer like we discussed earlier, and you're presenting yourself with active listening, so you're kind of repeating what they're saying, things like that. We'll go into another question here. Do you train individuals on other aspects that were not listed?
I'm sorry, Ashley. I'd just be curious. Somebody commented that Ashley's a little difficult to hear and the audio is muffled. Are other people experiencing that problem? If you could just kind of chat that into me, that would be great. Okay, so just so you know, Ashley, a few people are saying it sounds a little bit low, but I think the majority are saying it's fine. So thank you.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Ashley, could you repeat the question? Did you?
Sure. Do you train individuals on other aspects that were not listed? And I can go back to that slide here.
So again, this is where everyone participating can chat in your answers. Miranda trains on setting expectations.
Okay, that's a good one.
And then a comment, whatever you did helped as far as the audio goes, Ashley, so thank you. Christine trains on good follow-up processes. Richard trains on team building. Dana trains on time management. Any other training topics people train on? I think that's what we have, Ashley.
All right, those are all great. I'd like to maybe get a little time management training myself.
Oh, we have body language, and then anticipated based customer support.
Interesting. All right. All right, so we're going to go over a few obstacles when it comes to customer service. These are things that I've seen, I wouldn't say daily, but definitely, at least once a month. We have a disruptive environment, so we have about 6 or 7 students all sitting in one room who, if somebody's looking at a funny picture online and laughing and somebody else is on the call, that's considered a disruptive environment. It's hard to concentrate, things like that. We also go through language barriers and culture sensitivity. Not necessarily, something that's needing to happen, but you definitely have some language barriers sometimes and things to overcome. If they're on the phone, having them come in or send an email, trying to figure out, what's going on by a different method of technology. We also have contacts needing assistance during non-working hours, so we are open until 9 o'clock at night and open on the weekends. But there are some points in time when customers need help. The wireless goes down or there's an outage in one of the buildings, the residence hall buildings. So we have overcome that obstacle by having another option at the end of our phone queue to either leave a message or to contact our operations group for an emergency maintenance request. We also have overworked management. I'm sure none of you have that. And I'm not sure I can overcome that obstacle, but it's something that we are trying very hard. We do have, of course, unplanned outages or lack of staffing. You know, everybody comes in with a norovirus or something like that. You know, there's going to be days where you're shorthanded and your queue time is going to be pretty bad. And hopefully your abandonment rate isn't the greatest. So unplanned outages, that's very difficult to overcome. Just working with administrators to try to alleviate those things is the best method of overcoming the obstacle. And then patience, which is something that we try to train on, but it's very difficult. So another question, if you could just chat in. How do you overcome these obstacles or keep employees coming back to work?
Somebody said paycheck. Make the environment fun. Focus on the good things. Pay raises. Candy.
I have to admit, I definitely use candy.
As do I. Games. Food. Interact with the staff and students. I think probably get to know them as people and individuals. Flexibility. So those are some of the ideas
That's great.
for overcoming obstacles. One person suggests off-site team building as well.
That is definitely something that we enjoy doing. We don't do it as often as we'd like to. It's very hard to find a time where everybody can meet and we're actually not open. So that's another obstacle for us. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. We'll discuss the future. The future is always bright, but it's somewhat scary. These millennials, as we're key term, they're using, you know, the most efficient technology, the latest and greatest. Some of them know just enough to be dangerous. And that's not just the millennials. You know, that's people who dabble and you know, who are, even my parents know just enough to be dangerous to, for some reason, you know, mess up their iPad or something like that. There are times where we are seeing a lack of maturity and a lack of respect. We'll get an email and every other word is a curse word because they're upset at something. And you know, probably about, you know, even 5 to 10 years ago, that wasn't happening as often as it is now. Also, the millennials want instant gratification, so there's a lot of obstacles that we'll have to overcome with this next age group. Also have to keep in mind that these students that are coming in now have always had access to the internet and always had access to a computer, so they might not remember or even know, you know, what a typewriter is or what a PDA is. These are all terms that I've discussed with my students, and they don't even know what a floppy disk is sometimes. So it's very interesting. So we'll open it up to one more question here. What type of support do you predict the future generations will expect?
Immediate. Round the clock. Social media support. Twitter-based. Instant answer. More support out in the field in the libraries, etc. Less face-to-face. Free unlimited access to the internet and phones. Social media. I think that's it, Ashley.
All right, those are all really great. Some of the things that Iowa State is doing in hopes to, you know, get to these type of millennials, we are looking into our remote assistance program in a live chat. But the first week of school in the fall, we do some kiosk stations located in the dorms, in the library, and we are next year going to do it in one of our major lecture halls. So we're trying to get out and get our name out there and also be available for those people who aren't necessarily going to call, but if they see us, they're going to stop by and say, oh, hey, I've got this question. So those are some of the things that we're attempting to do to, kind of touch base with our student body population. All right, so that is the end of our slides. Does anybody have any other questions?
Ashley, this is Beth. I do have a question. I'm curious what you and or others are seeing. Do you feel there's a difference between expectations regarding customer service from a student perspective versus a faculty perspective versus a staff perspective? And if so, any suggestions or recommendations about how to deal with different expectations?
Personally, I do see this. I think everybody wants instant gratification, but our faculty and staff have a different level of expectation than our students do. Our faculty and staff do not want to talk to student employees, which has been rough because we used to have student employees as our first level of contact, and our full-time staff was actually second level support. So over the past couple of years, we have changed that. We do total contact ownership now. Faculty and staff have their own, queue basically set up. So when they press a certain number, like the number 2 on our phone queue, they get directly routed to full-time faculty and support staff. So there are different expectations, and we've tried to work around those. But there's always going to be more that we'll have to figure out.
Great, thank you. Jack has a question. What tools are you using for a centralized service desk to provide self-support, and how does this help you improve customer service?
That's a great question. We actually just implemented over the past year a new campus-wide initiative for a call tracking system or incident tracking system called ChangeGear. It's by Sunview Software. Like I said, it is campus-wide, so we do a lot of intake of different universities or the different colleges on our campuses, different departments, and we have a lot of different forms that customers can go out and fill out. We also have those forms tied to our websites for self-service support, things like that. We also are implementing our knowledge base. We have it on, our internal side, but we are publishing articles to go out for, customer consumption. So that's a couple of different methods that we're using.
Great. We have a question from Christine. We have distributed IT support at our school. How is the customer service handled in other similar environments? Is it from a central office or handled differently by each area in regards to the web presence and service desks? And I think perhaps, Ashley, speak out of your experience, and then if anybody else on the call would like to comment, I can read out those answers as well.
Sure. So what Iowa State does, since we're centrally located, we do take in, calls for different departments and colleges, and then we'll transfer the tickets over to their area. The different level of support, though, it varies throughout the colleges. So we'll take it in, we'll talk to them on the phone or email, things like that. Once we submit it to the other team, there's a whole different expectation. We have one department who gets the ticket and they print out the ticket and they walk over to the person's office. We have another different college on campus who has 14 different IT groups. So they submit it to their other group and they either email out the resolution or call them on the phone. We do have a Microsoft Lync program that we're using here on campus. So there's some support that's being done by chat as well.
No one else has chatted in to comment on that question. You still can if you'd like. Otherwise, Scott's wondering, has anyone had resistance to remote management and support?
I know personally we have. We're using SCCM for our clients that are paid support clients. So we had some resistance when we attempted to even begin looking at different companies like BOMGAR or LogMe and things like that, just because we were afraid that different departments who didn't want to use SCCM would jump on the BOMGAR wagon, and really we're just trying to use it for student support instead of faculty and staff, so we have had some resistance.
Let's see, Robert says, I believe that they've had very little resistance to remote management, primarily from faculty, letting student employees remotely access their computers. And I think Angela had a comment for the earlier question about the distributed IT support and how customer service is handled. And I believe Angela's response is it's centralized for them and using Lendesk. I'm just curious, personally, for those listening, do you find that it's a more difficult kind of customer service environment these days? I've had recent interactions that in some ways are shocking to me because I think we all work for the same institution, yet some of the interactions perhaps indicate that that is not the case. I'm just curious.
I would definitely agree with that.
A few people are commenting saying, yes, that they believe it is more difficult these days. And do we think it's more difficult just because there's so many different types of customer interactions or different technologies? Is it workload-based? Does anybody have any idea what is causing these changes? Mo thinks shrinking support resources, BYOD, and new technologies are stretching us thin, I believe. Miranda thinks people are less patient, more devices to support. And individuals are looking for quicker responses with the same amount of resources. We have to provide quicker responses with the same amount of resources that we always had.
Mm-hmm. I think that also a lot of people are more willing to shout louder and go above somebody's head without even thinking twice. So that's another issue that we run into.
Right. Dana's seen a wide range of expectations. Scott calls it the Amazon effect. Everyone wants what they want right now, and then everyone wants to bring in everything and make it all work without any setup. And Kevin, I absolutely agree with that. We do a technology refresh program, and I think people are more willing to put more time into getting their phone set up, for their personal use, and they give us grace to get their computer set up to have them work properly. I'm just finding that people are just not, they have no tolerance for any kind of downtime, outage, or any change related to their computer environment. And Angela's commenting, yes, we have more systems to support with less support staff.
Yes. That was one of the comments. Our university went through this article about us being lean, which was really interesting. They were really excited about hiring all these new faculty members. But we didn't hire many staff members to actually support the faculty, so it's actually been kind of stressful. So there's some misconception about that.
I think Miranda has a great comment that students see themselves as customers, and if they see tech as getting in the way of the education they've paid for, they are insistent on getting it fixed quickly. And then Mo, some pockets of management within IT are not customer-centric. They expect users to be savvy.
That's definitely an obstacle.
So I guess any other kind of comments or questions regarding customer service? I was curious, actually, how do you do ongoing training every day? How do you structure training, especially for your student staff?
For student staff, I normally do 1 or 2 emails, grouped emails a week, and then once a month we all meet. I offer 2 different meeting times for everyone to get together to discuss new technology, do some type of training for something new that we're doing, or to follow up on something that we're not necessarily doing correctly, and give announcements, things like that. So we used to do a very large newsletter once a week. It was very time-consuming on my end, and I was not necessarily getting a lot of people to read it. So I feel that the short, brief emails that I send out, and I try not to send out too many, and the 1 meeting a week or a month has really helped.
Angela was commenting that they do 3 weeks of training for new hires with regular follow-up afterwards.
We also do 3 weeks of training before, and then we do like a mentee-mentor program where they sit and listen with somebody, and then they turn around and for so many hours they turn around and they're listened to or shadowed thereafter.
And that's for your student staff or your full-timers? Or
Both, actually.
Okay.
Yep.
Mo had a comment, I thought this was interesting, lean, regarding the idea of being lean, that staff are scared of lean. They feel that lean training is a precursor to restructuring and reorgs. They need to be reminded that it's about process change, not personnel change.
It's very true.
And then Christine comments that for their students, they do a weekend training right before back to school, and then new staff shadow existing staff. So Ashley, I'm just curious, and I think everybody online, like, we're doing this every day, it's hard work, it's getting more challenging, and yet we still keep coming back because...
Well, my personal reason I keep coming back is for these students. My student staff, I wouldn't change it for the world, so that's why I keep coming back.
And I actually would absolutely have to agree with you. I still deeply believe in the value of the work that we do every day.
Yep.
And
Some
yet,
days are easier than others.
isn't that true? I think we may be coming down to the end of our webinar. Any final comments or questions, either by the group or Ashley? Oh, here we have a question coming in. Does anyone do regular monitoring of student workers? Call monitoring.
We just started a couple of weeks ago. One of my interns will listen to students while they're on the calls and then look at their incident tickets afterwards. We're also doing quality assurance through ticket reviews. So every day we do about 50 ticket reviews from the day before to kind of gauge how our students are doing. So.
For your walk-up desk, does anyone do complete rebuilds? And this is for Ashley and then anyone who's listening in. And I believe it's complete rebuild of the computer, I think, Richard?
Here at our help desk, we do not do that. We do have a separate computer hardware support group that's down in our basement because, of course, that's where you house those people is in the basement, right? So our group does it downstairs, but I don't think that they'll actually do a complete rebuild. I think they'll reinstall, they'll install motherboards, you know, a new CD drive or hard drive, things like that.
And Richard, Christine from Duke said that they do rebuild student machines as drop-offs. I was going to say, from our standpoint at Ithaca College, we don't do rebuilds for drop-offs. We do have another team that works on that. Scott says for students, they have their disks. Oh, for students who have their disks, and they will do a rebuild for their desktops. Ashley, how large is your support staff?
Just for our area, we have 47 students and then about 9 full-time employees.
And then for the training that you do, what type of learning management system do you use, if any?
Well, we definitely use Blackboard here on campus, so we try to use Blackboard as much as possible with our different trainings and procedures. But we also do an orientation that's more hands-on and interactive as a group. And then, of course, we do the mentoring, the shadowing. We also do packets, so every time they get a call, they have to write down, you know, what happened during the call, what the resolution was, and on a piece of paper as well that they have to keep track of and kind of hand in at the end.
Great, thank you. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in, so Ashley, thank you so much for your time and for your thoughtful presentation. And thank you all who are listening. I know perhaps the webinar doesn't offer the robust kind of dialogue that we might experience in person or on a conference call, but hopefully we were still able to share information in a way that can help you do your jobs every day. So thank you all for your time. Ashley, any closing words?
No, thank you all for your great discussion.
Nice job, and everyone's thanking you, Ashley. And like I said, this should be available as a recording on the SIGOX website in just a few days. So thank you all very much. Bye-bye.